was biting my tongue on my political opinion because I thought it would be better for my children. And now you look up and my kids are going to a school that teaches black kids a complicated Kwanzaa. I prefer my kids knew Hanukkah than Kwanzaa. At least it will come with some financial engineering.
So hello everyone from the very, very capitalist kingdom of Cambodia. I'm on the second month of my travels now, and because communism was so good in Vietnam, I had to come to Cambodia and remind myself about how bad capitalism is. And honestly, I'm not having a great time at the moment, and this place is very, very capitalistic. You can see how much like Chinese investment is like really transforming the city. We're staying in like a very new apartment, so a lot of the buildings around us, like shopping malls and stuff, you go inside and there's like nothing in them because they're absolutely brand new, and it's just really stressful. The roads are built like an American city. You can't walk anywhere, even less so in Vietnam. So I'm hoping as I explore the country, I will enjoy it a lot more, but I am very much pining for a return to communism. I will be going back to Vietnam, going to Ho Chi Minh City at the start of November. Very much looking forward to a return to beloved communism. But today we are not talking about really communism or even capitalism in some ways. We are talking about Kanye West, and we are talking about his anti-Semitism. Now, I don't really want to focus on Kanye in terms of like really delve into his psychology or problems with him, because that's not what I really wanted to make this video about. It's mainly the reaction to his anti-Semitism while he's on like Tucker Carlson promoting other conservative talking points, and how there are so many people who claim to really hate anti-Semitism and fight against anti-Semitism who are also massive supporters of Israel, who will give Kanye West a massive pass. And I'm going to read you an article by someone who is both defending Kanye West but at the same time calling people like Jeremy Corbyn, Rashida Tlaib massive anti-Semites, because unlike Kanye West, these people aren't actually anti-Semites, but they are anti-Zionists. So to a lot of people, especially very fanatical Zionists, they see that as the real anti-Semitism. Kanye West stuff, yeah, that's bad, but as long as he says positive things about Israel, then who really cares? And this is a common trend, and we saw this with J.K. Rowling as well, and another organization admitting that the stereotypes of goblins she had in her book and the films, they were anti-Semitic, but she's not anti-Semitic because she hated Jeremy Corbyn, and that's why they liked her. So it is ridiculous that a lot of these very, very far-right Zionist groups don't really care. And I'm also going to talk about this a bit later. Jordan Peterson also has been touring Israel with Ben Shapiro, right? So apparently people who really care about anti-Semitism and are massive right-wing Zionists, right? They don't care about the guy spreading Nazi conspiracy theories, pushing revisionist history about Adolf Hitler himself. Remember, I covered that in my own video. So today, I just want to talk about the stunning hypocrisy and the weaponized anti-Semitism that conservatives do, and how they will actually give a pass to the worst anti-Semites as long as they support the nation state of Israel. And I think you guys will know this for a fact. In America especially, you have Christian Zionism. Some of the biggest supporters of Israel are Christian Zionists. Why do they like Israel? Because they literally believe it's key to Armageddon, an Armageddon where the Christians will be saved, but if the Jews don't convert to Christianity, they will die with the rest of us atheists. Like, that is the batshit hypocrisy we are going to be dealing with in this video, but we're going to use the Kanye West controversy as like a springboard to show the hypocrisy of these people. Now, before we go any further, please like the video, and I guess in the comments, you've heard me kind of talk about this already. What are the most ridiculous times that people who are often like conservatives in America will give a pass to blatant anti-Semitism as long as that person supports Israel? Like Donald Trump is a massive one, like said so many anti-Semitic things. But Israel literally named a town after Trump on stolen land from Syria because he was so pro-Israeli. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. Also, consider following me on social media at the Kavernacle on Twitter. And if you guys care about keeping up with my travels, check out my Instagram, also at the Kavernacle. I've been posting a lot on there on my story, and most of my stories are archived on my highlights on my profile. Also, consider becoming a patron. I'm trying to build up as many $1 to $3 patrons as possible, and the benefits of that are getting access to the Discord server, access to my Nintendo Switch friend code, and access to the one edited video I will be doing per country talking about my travels. Obviously, the first one is going to be talking about my month in Vietnam, and hopefully I'm going to film out the weekend and edit it for early next week. And then the next one will be about Cambodia. The next one will be about South Vietnam. The next one will be about like Thailand or wherever I end up. So if you care about any of that stuff and you want to watch that, please check out the Patreon. Also, check out the subreddit down in the description and check out the second channel. So Kanye West, or Ye, is no stranger to controversy throughout his career. One of the best things he did was say George Bush didn't care about black people. But in recent years, of course, you guys will know he's become increasingly controversial for supporting Republicans and Republican causes, and of course, meeting Donald Trump in the White House before actually running for president himself. And he's also, throughout the years, dog whistled with a lot of anti-Semitism. His friend Ice Cube has also done that, basically talking about like black Hebrew Israelites and often like the anti-Semitism that comes with that. But at Paris Fashion Week, him and Candace Owens debuted these like White Lives Matter clothes. And when asked about why he did it, he basically says, because they do. And he repeated that on his Tucker Carlson interview. Because white lives do matter. What a great justification for using that slogan. I'm going to go through the controversy quick for some of you guys who don't know, to talk about the anti-Semitism. And what I'm going to try and do is try and show Tucker Carlson clips, but I'm also going to read it out. You guys will now see in the next couple of seconds what actually happened. I'm only doing that because I don't know if Fox News would claim the video if I showed Tucker Carlson. So let's go through the controversy. And let's also go through the reaction of Candace Owens, friend of Kanye West seemingly, and Ben Shapiro, who Candace Owens works with and works for a lot. So on Friday, Kanye posted an iMessage exchange between him and Puff Diddy, making it crystal clear he didn't approve of Diddy's Breakfast Club interview. Him saying, send me the address, let's stop playing these internet games, and don't feel threatened, you'll be fine, just love. So then Kanye replying, this ain't a game, I'ma use you as an example to show the Jewish people that told you to call me that no one can threaten or influence me. I told you this was war, now gon' get you some business. Diddy replying, I'm just trying to talk to you as a black man, I'm talking to you because this is hurting our people, stop. Kanye replying, anything you text, I will post. I love you, and you guys are breaking my heart. I accept your apology in advance. According to Ye's perspective, Diddy is trying to put a wedge in between his earnings and is under the impression that Jewish leaders sent the Bad Boy Records rapper to silence his messages. When Diddy attempted to meet up in person, Ye desecrated his character, calling Puff a federal agent, before telling him he accepts the future apology when he comes to his senses and supports White Lives Matter. So then he went onto Twitter, and this got removed for violating Twitter's guidelines, although I have seen way worse stuff not get removed than this. But he wrote, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going Defcon free on capital letters Jewish people. The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew. Also, you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone, whoever opposes your agenda. So, of course, very, very anti-Semitic there. Now, that came after the text exchange with Puff, and he was actually had his Instagram restricted for showing those messages. So he also wrote this, look at this, Mark, how are you going to kick me off Instagram? And Elon Musk said, welcome back to Twitter, my friend. And Elon Musk said he had a conversation with Kanye about what he said, and Elon Musk is apparently actually going to buy Twitter now rather than face all the legal action he was going to, which revealed loads of personal details. So is this Elon Musk's idea of content moderation? I guess it is. Then he also tweeted, who do you think created cancel culture? And I'm guessing he's trying to say that the Jews created cancel culture to silence him. So he also went and did an interview with Tucker Carlson. Now, they were mainly focusing on the White Lives Matter stuff and talking about like Kim Kardashian and his family. And hopefully I'm going to play you a couple clips. And this isn't to excuse his anti-Semitism, but this guy obviously has bipolar disorder, and Kim Kardashian spoke about this, and other people have spoken about what he's like when he's not on medication. Some of these ramblings really, really don't make sense. And Tucker Carlson and Fox are clearly using him to push some sort of agenda against Black Lives Matter by promoting his White Lives Matter talking points. And it's clear they just love it that a famous black celebrity is like endorsing Donald Trump and their political positions. But Vice Motherboard reporting, watch the disturbing Kanye interview clips that Tucker Carlson didn't put on the air. So in his interview with Carlson, Ye said that Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics, as he put it, created Planned Parenthood with the KKK to control the Jew population.
Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics, with the KKK to control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the people known as the race black really are. This is who our people are, the blood of Christ. This, as a Christian, is my belief.
The statement mashes up a few different claims. Sanger was indeed a racist and a eugenicist, a stance the organization has since denounced. Claims that Planned Parenthood exists to kill black infants in the womb are common across several different conspiratorial spaces. Ye also referring to the claim, unsupported by historical evidence, that black people are the real Jewish race, which is often used to promote anti-Semitism. The Southern Poverty Law Center has a broader explanation of this particular tangled claim, which is often, but not always, associated with the Black Hebrew Israelites, a movement that originated in the 19th century. Some Black Hebrew Israelite sects believe that non-Black Jews are imposters or usurpers of true Jewish identity. And I believe what they think is that Jewish people who fled, like Jerusalem, when the Romans burnt down the temple, some of them fled as far as West Africa. And when European colonialists enslaved West Africans and brought them to America, that's why some American Hebrew Israelites believe they are like the real Jewish people. So another aside about Jews that didn't make it to air, Ye used a strange metaphor when talking about black people judging one another, telling Carlson
exactly what our culture is based on. Think about us judging each other on how white we could talk would be like, you know, a Jewish person judging another Jewish person on how good they danced or something. I mean, that's probably like a bad example. People are going to get mad at that shit. But I probably want to edit that out in front of that like that. Okay, so.
At another point, when complaining that his children are going to a school that celebrates Kwanzaa,
I was biting my tongue on my political opinion because I thought it would be better for my children. And now you look up, and my kids are going to a school that teaches black kids a complicated Kwanzaa. I prefer my kids knew Hanukkah than Kwanzaa. At least it will come with some financial engineering. Kwanzaa doesn't, you know, so they don't teach even Christmas itself, Christ Mass.
And here's a clip where he just starts talking about God and kinetic energy, which in my mind pretty much shows he is dealing with some like mental issues. And as I said, it's pretty well established he does have bipolar disorder.
I have visions that God gives me just over and over on community building and how to build these free energy, kinetic, fully kinetic energy communities where we impress, we put the least impression on the earth. We're not building the new New York skyline fight, that we are humble in the way that we present ourselves. We've got to rethink who we are as a species.
Not that that excuses the anti-Semitism, but it kind of shows maybe why he's going through this issue right now. Now, of course, it's probably not surprising that a lot of conservatives are coming to Kanye's defense about the Defcon 3 tweet, about all this anti-Semitic stuff he's been saying. Now, fair enough, and I'm going to give some credit where it's due. There are some people calling out Kanye West, including Ben Shapiro, but he kind of also downplays it. And then we're going to get into the Jewish Chronicle, which has run articles basically saying it's no big deal, especially compared to, I don't know, anti-Israel critics like Roger Waters and the Squad. So I'm going to read this, but I might play the clip if I don't get it claimed. So Candace Owens says of Kanye West's Defcon 3 tweet about Jewish people, "If you're an honest person, you did not think this tweet was anti-Semitic." And she says,
"You did not think this tweet was anti-Semitic. You did not think that he wrote this tweet because he hates or wants to genocide Jewish people. This does not represent the beginning of the Holocaust." That's if you're an honest person, you'll admit that. You will admit that, right? If you're an honest person, when you read this tweet, you had no idea what the hell he was talking about. What is Defcon 3? Did he mean Defcon 3? Which would be a military defense position, not an offense, for those of you that are offended, a military defense position. Is he tweeting this because he's reading the Newsweek headline calling him an anti-Semitic? Is he angry because he can't believe that he's not free to talk about people in his life who happen to be Jewish? If you're a liar, you'll say, I know I was scared, Candace. I actually thought that Kanye West was going to launch a military strike in Israel. Because that's the reaction. Like when I woke up and I looked at the headlines, the reaction was like Kanye West had gotten together a military strike and it was going to go forward in the morning time in Israel. That was the reaction that was met with this tweet. It's not a defensive tweet. This is an open question, which never seems to happen anymore. It's like you cannot even say the word Jewish without people getting upset, in the same way that you're not allowed to say black anymore.
Now, Ben Shapiro also commented on this. Back from a Jewish holiday now, as usual, two things can be true at once. Kanye's moves towards pro-life, faith, and family conservatism are encouraging. His Defcon free post and black Hebrew Israelite language are clearly anti-Semitic and disturbing. Okay, fair enough, he called it out. But then he starts retweeting this guy, Avi Meyer. Here's a helpful diagram. Most Zionists are not Jews. You can be a Zionist, someone who believes that Jewish people have a right to a homeland and Israel has a right to exist, and be of any faith or background. And then tweets this: hello, thank you for noticing Kanye's anti-Semitism. While I've got you, did you know Hasidic Jews are being beaten in broad daylight, swastikas are being carved into Jewish students' dorm rooms, politicians are scapegoating Jews, and the student groups are banning Zionists. So you see what Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro are doing there. Like, they're really trying to say that Kanye West's anti-Semitism isn't that bad because it has nothing to do with Israel, right? So she starts talking about, like, you know, you thought the reaction was so bad. He was planning a raid on Israel. He was planning a military strike on Israel. You think from the way people are describing it, he'd want to genocide the Jews. Do people understand that you can be racist and anti-Semitic without taking it to the most extreme conclusion, right? Plenty of people are rabid anti-Semites. Loads of people are casually anti-Semitic as well. That doesn't mean they'd all do the Holocaust. This understanding of racism is so bizarre. Like, many people think you can't be racist. You aren't like a literal swastika-wearing Nazi or actually in the KKK. There are various degrees of racism. Yeah, Kanye West isn't as bad as Hitler. He's still extremely anti-Semitic, and you can see it in what he's been saying. And obviously, Candace Owens is being gross because if Jeremy Corbyn said that, if AOC said stuff like that, they would be calling her literal Hitler. Now, Ben Shapiro is calling it anti-Semitic. He's not being like Candace Owens, trying to like beat around the bush. But then he's retweeting someone saying like, oh, you notice Kanye's anti-Semitism. Now look at all this other stuff. Then it starts talking about like Zionism and Israel. And it's pretty clear what they're doing. They're trying to downplay what Kanye's saying because Kanye isn't anti-Israel, right? And if someone is anti-Israel, that is anti-Semitic to these people. If someone says anti-Semitic things but is pro-Israel, these people don't really care. Like, think about how Ben Shapiro talks about Bernie Sanders' criticism of the Israeli government, or Rashida Tlaib and the squad's criticism of Israel, when they've never used language like this. They're not anti-Semites. They haven't said anti-Semitic things. But when Kanye says it, then it's like, that's bad. But his moves towards conservatism, that's good. And also, look over there. Look at all this other stuff. And I know some people don't want to talk about this. You're made to feel uncomfortable because most people don't really understand the difference. Like, what is an anti-Zionist? What is an anti-Semite? What's the difference? And a lot of the time, right-wing conservatives and Zionists, they like to muddy the waters so people don't feel comfortable. And of course, you can be an anti-Semitic person who is an anti-Zionist, but to most people, including a lot of Jews, especially in America, they do not support the nation state of Israel. They don't support Israeli apartheid. They do not agree with Zionist ideology, which this apartheid is based on. And they do not agree with this state existing. Like most people, myself included, I believe in a one nation state, a secular Palestine where Israelis, Palestinians, and all the other groups inside Israeli and Palestinian territory can live together in a democracy. That is, you know, wishful thinking at this point, but I think that should be the end goal. Sadly, unlikely, but as someone who spends so many of my videos, like, attacking Nazism, making it clear when people are pushing like very anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. I've done this so much on my channel, including talking about Jordan Peterson. They would still call me an anti-Semite. People like Ben Shapiro would 100%, if they watch my videos, call me anti-Semitic, despite never saying anything anti-Semitic, despite spending so much time fighting against anti-Semitism on my channel, because I don't support Israel. And I'm an anti-Zionist as well. And that's the prism these right-wing conservatives view things from. And like I said, Jordan Peterson, recently gone to Israel, Ben Shapiro, Do you think anyone talked about cultural Marxism? Do you think anyone asked him, like, why did you say that stuff about Hitler? Why did you say that Hitler did the Holocaust because he was just disgusted by the Jews? Not that he was, like, ideologically extremely anti-Semitic. So weaponized anti-Semitism on the right is, I find, really disgusting and dangerous because it gives a pass to some of the worst people normalizing anti-Semitism just because they support the nation state of Israel. And that includes people like Donald Trump. What Donald Trump represented, which is this white evangelical ideology, which has a form of Christian Zionism. They don't support Israel because they believe in a Jewish homeland or they believe in the ideology of Zionism. They support Israel because they want Israel to bring about biblical Armageddon, where Jewish people will not survive unless they convert to Christianity, right? Those are the type of people they like because at least they can count on their monetary support or political support. And that's where I feel in America, a lot of the politicians in America who are extremely pro-Zionist, they're not as much influenced by the Israeli lobby. While that is there, I think that's more the Democrats. But I think Republicans have a mixture where they are influenced by Israeli lobbies, but they're also influenced because they're bankrolled by people who want Israel to cause Armageddon. And something I always find funny, and it's when Jordan Peterson talks about Hitler, which is the biggest omission ever, is that these people don't talk about how anti-communism and anti-leftism has, in the last 70 years, gone hand in hand with anti-Semitism, because people like Hitler, why did they hate communists? They didn't just hate communists because they didn't like the rich and wealthy and stuff like that. They hated communists because they believed the communists were the tool of the Jews to take over the world. Judeo-Bolshevism, cultural Marxism, these are dangerous ideas that people like Ben Shapiro will give credibility to. They'll platform people like Jordan Peterson. They'll even hire them for their network. These people are the same people who call Jeremy Corbyn, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Rashida Tlaib anti-Semitic just for being against Israel. So don't take my word for it. We're going to look at two articles now from Dominic Green, who actually wrote a defense of Kanye West's comments, but then he's also wrote articles in the past talking about Jeremy Corbyn and the squad, about how they are absolutely fanatical anti-Semites who actually cause very real physical violence towards Jewish people, which is amazing to say when so many of the prominent terrorist attacks against Jewish people in the West have been conducted by right-wingers and neo-Nazis. I don't remember too many left-wing Bernie bros committing these acts of violence, but let's get into these articles. So this was written just afterwards. Ye gods, give Kanye West a break. The road to rehabilitation is long, and if anyone can, Kanye can. So again, not this gross anti-Semitism he's been spewing lately. This guy, remember, hates Jeremy Corbyn and the squad. West is now suspended from Twitter and Instagram for anti-Semitic statements. Compare West to Roger Waters, who turned up over the High Holy Days in an interview with Rolling Stone magazine. Waters, who insists that he has nothing against the Jews, only the existence of Israel, said that British and American Jews bear responsibility for Israel's actions because they pay for everything. Roger Waters will always be a delusional bigot, but Kanye West, who has performed in Israel, will recover from his delusions and their bigotry. He deserves a break. You could see the pain in his face. He told Carlson, if we saw ourselves as people and not a race, then we would treat our people better. That is the American problem in a nutshell. The road to rehabilitation is long. There will be meetings with rabbis, a trip to the Western Wall, and another high-profile interview to apologize about the previous one. But if anyone can, Kanye can. So how stark is that? Roger Waters hates Jewish people because he's against Israel. Kanye West, who literally goes on anti-Semitic rants, he can be reformed because he played in Israel once and he hasn't really said much about Israel itself, right? So that is what we're dealing with these conservative Zionists. This is how they view anti-Semitism. And regardless of what you think of what Roger Waters said, right, the thing he said there, that American and British Jews bear responsibility for whatever Israel's doing because they fund most things, right? I don't know what context he was like really saying that in, especially when so much of like Israel itself is made up of Eastern European Jews and stuff. Again, I don't know what they were talking about, but let's just say what he said is highly controversial or something. Is it really comparable to what Kanye West said? Like, seriously, it's very, very clear he hates Roger Waters because he's against Zionism, and he doesn't mind Kanye West because he didn't say anything bad about Zionism. Like, that is what we're dealing with. And we're going to get into another article where he starts attacking Corbyn and the left for being anti-Semites. Have Corbyn and the left ever spoke about Jewish people like this? Like, ever? Can someone give me an example, please? And this shows you how much they don't care. Support Israel and you can say anything. You can promote literal Nazi conspiracy theories like Jordan Peterson about cultural Marxism. You can do all that stuff because you support Israel, so it's fine. US Republican congressmen and senators, say whatever you want about Christian Zionism and Armageddon. If you vote to give Israel $4 billion every year, then you're okay as well. But don't be like Bernie Sanders and call Netanyahu racist, or Ben Shapiro will question if you're a real Jew or not. So another article by Dominic Green called The Left Against Zion, June 2019. In early April, Barack Obama told Rashida Tlaib, a spouter of coarse anti-Israel propaganda and a follower of anti-Semitic material on Instagram, but he is proud of her. The Democratic presidential candidates, Bernie Sanders and Beto O'Rourke, called the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu a racist, with O'Rourke claiming that Netanyahu, who with his Likud party won his 5th election in April, does not represent the true will of the Israeli people. The Democratic Party is becoming Corbynized from the bottom up, and the roots of radical leftism are showing. The Obama administration's only significant foreign policy achievement is to have exacerbated the trend in which support for Israel has become a partisan issue. While not all anti-Zionists are anti-Semitic, all anti-Semites are anti-Zionist. You can see why, and if you dislike Jews, you'll hate the state of Israel. Spend any time online, it's obvious that the anti-Zionism is a gateway drug to the hard stuff. So another one, Corbynization of the Democrats has led to street attacks on the Jews. The Democrats are becoming Corbynized. The radical left sets the pace and tone. The soft left simpers along, and the party leadership rides the tiger into office. We saw it when Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, responded to the anti-Semitic words of Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib by posing alongside them and other members of the squad in Rolling Stone. We saw it during the Democratic primaries when Bernie Sanders sat down with Al Sharpton, a man who incited the pogrom in Crown Heights in 1991. We saw it last year when Joe Biden took a knee for Black Lives Matter, whose one foreign policy is that Israel is an illegitimate apartheid state. So look at this. So he acknowledges the Tree of Life synagogue and then acts like the Democrats are going to inspire something similar. So when a lone gunman massacred Jews at the Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh, I wrote that Donald Trump and his Republican allies bore a responsibility, not for the killer's actions, but for the degrading the tone of public life and exploiting the long, digitally enhanced continuum that leads from the violent fringe all the way up to the voting booth. The same applies now to Joe Biden and the other Democratic leaders. They have ridden the tiger and returned Jew baiting to the streets of America. Of course, once roving gangs of social justice activists were beating up Jews in the streets of Democrat-run cities, they tried their best to dismount. So there it is for all of you in very, very stark detail on different articles, right? See the way he describes Democrats. And lots of these Democrats, like Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden, are absolutely huge Israel supporters. Nancy Pelosi especially is. She led the charge on Ilhan Omar and throwing her under the bus. Joe Biden's Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has to be one of the most pro-Israeli Democratic foreign secretaries in a long time. He says he's always proud that the US always backs up Israel when the UN condemns their war crimes, right? That is the people this guy is criticizing because they won't kick out Ilhan Omar and AOC and Rashida Tlaib from the party because he thinks they're all anti-Semites who are going to inspire an anti-Semitic massacre in America like how Donald Trump did, right? And that is how you know these people care about being pro-Israel above caring about anti-Semitism. Because if you care about anti-Semitism, if you're more principled, at least even Ben Shapiro said what Kanye said was anti-Semitic. This guy won't even say it. He's saying Kanye West can be reformed, but everyone else, you know, they're just as bad as the Nazis, really, because they're against Israel. And that point about not all anti-Zionists are anti-Semites, but all anti-Semites are anti-Zionists, he thinks it's like a big gotcha. But, you know, anti-Semitic people hate Jewish people, right? So why would any of them like Israel? Like, inherently, they're not going to like Israel. Although, ironically, there are some who actually do, like Christian Zionists, for example. What these people don't really understand, to most people who are anti-Zionist, the stuff about Judaism doesn't even come into it. The stuff about the Jewish people doesn't come into it. You see what is happening in Israel, apartheid Israel, and you compare it to what happened in South Africa. You compare it to Canada. You compare it to Australia. You compare it to the United States of America. You compare it to Ireland. You recognize a similar style of apartheid. Yes, it has its own different flavors in terms of religious. It has the history stuff. It has the ethnic stuff all in there. But it's an apartheid state like South Africa. Desmond Tutu said, it was even worse than apartheid in South Africa. The whole stuff about Jewish people, Palestinian people, Muslims, and Jewish faiths and stuff like that, that's all important. But at the end of the day, it looks like other apartheid states which had nothing to do with the region, which had nothing to do with those religions, like South Africa, like Northern Ireland, and that's why people are against Israel, and that's why they're against Israeli apartheid, because they're against apartheid. They're not against Jewish people, but these people always conflate the terms when it comes to criticism of Israel in particular, and like I said, that's why they don't care about Kanye West, but they absolutely hate Jeremy Corbyn, despite the fact that Jeremy Corbyn, Rashida Tlaib, Nancy Pelosi, and even Joe Biden were catching some heat in that article. Have they ever said anything like Kanye West? Would they ever even say anything? Are they even possible? And we all know the answer. They are not. But they are principled against apartheid. Jeremy Corbyn was against South African apartheid. So, of course, he'd be against Israeli apartheid as well. That's the consistency. Not that Jeremy Corbyn is only motivated and speaks out against Israel because he hates Jewish people. And I hope this Kanye West stuff really exposes everything to people and really makes it really clear how a lot of these right-wing conservatives view the whole issue of anti-Semitism. And it's sad because anti-Semitism is rising. It's obviously an extremely serious issue. And the annoying thing is that the right wing see themselves as a defender against anti-Semitism, while like that author even said, you know, Donald Trump's and the rhetoric of Donald Trump inspired mass shootings in synagogues. And then they talk about George Soros controlling everything. They talk about cultural Marxism. These are the same people who will call other people anti-Semites just not for praising and supporting Israel. They'll give so much a pass. They'll let anti-Semitism actually flourish just because some of the people who push this stuff actually agree with Israel. And like we've made it clear, there are plenty of people who will support Israel, who will like Israel as a nation state, but they won't like Jewish people. They'll be anti-Semites as well. But to a lot of influential conservative people, again, don't really care. What Kanye West says, yeah, it's kind of bad, but you know, he once played in Israel and doesn't say anything bad about it. So according to Dominic Green, that's okay. Ben Shapiro doesn't seem too outraged, but imagine, for a second, imagine if Jeremy Corbyn said he's going to go Defcon free on the Jews. Imagine AOC said it. Imagine Ilhan Omar said it. Imagine Rashida Tlaib said it. Imagine the conservative reaction. Imagine the right wing in Israel's reaction to those comments. Do you think they would be very kind? Do you think they talk about Corbyn rehabilitating himself and maybe one day coming around to being like pro-Israeli? You know for a fact they would never give him the chance because, again, for a lot of people on the right and conservatives, being pro-Israel trumps actual anti-Semitism. So that is it for the video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.